Hi everyone, welcome back to the Anthony podcast, and today's episode is going to be with Rachael Procter Lane. I met Rachael several years ago on a holiday camp called Birmingham PHAB Camp. Birmingham PHAB Camp is a charity organisation that takes away young people all week, and they do a load of activities. So I hope you enjoy today's episode, and I will speak to you soon.
Yes, I'm very well, thanks, Anthony. Very pleased to be talking to you.
And it's been a while since we last spoke, so
yeah, it must be like, it's not like
it's
7 years.
I think it has been it's been a long time. Let's just say that.
Yeah.
So the reason why. So would you mind just explaining to the audience exactly what you do? Please.
Sure. Yeah. At the moment, mainly what I do is I perform with an improv troupe called Degrees of Error and another one called Closer Each Day. Degrees of Error do a improvised murder mystery called Murder She Didn't Write that we tour around the UK and perform at the Edinburgh Fringe every year. And then Closer Each Day is an improvised soap opera, which is performed every other week at the Wardrobe Theatre here in Bristol, where I live.
So what made you want to get into performing?
Well, actually, I've been a teacher for 17 years. I studied drama and English at university, and I've always really liked drama. And I've always performed in one way or another, like Amdram, that sort of thing. But I first saw some improv at the Edinburgh Fringe Festival in 2015, I think, because a friend of mine who I'd just done a play with was in it. And it was actually the show I'm in now. It was in Murder She Didn't Write. They were in a very different venue then. And I went to see it just because I knew someone. I wasn't really expecting to enjoy it as much as I did, to be honest. And then I just loved it. And I thought, I think I could do that. That sort of, what I wanted to experience is what I could see what was happening on stage was the same thing I experience when I go to like gigs and I see bands playing together. I'm not remotely musical in any way, but I'm always jealous of like bands and then getting to sort of sense each other on stage and really feel like you're part of something. And that's what I felt this show had. So I said to my friend when I got back, when I saw this show, and it was improv, but it was telling stories, and the cast seemed like they were having such good fun, and I want to do it. So she said to me, well, let's do this improv course. So we both joined the same improv course, which was actually run by a guy called John Lomaz, who is in Closer Each Day. And I just loved it. And it turned out I was quite good at it. And I think the reason for that is because I've been a teacher and the same skill sets apply. Like you have to basically just go, yeah, and everything, and agree and sort of sense the room. And a lot of the skills that I use as a teacher, I use as an improviser as well. So it was really transferable. So I started doing it, and I've just been doing it ever since. And I joined Closer Each Day less than a year later after doing the course. And then 2 years later, I was in the same show that I'd seen in Edinburgh after auditioning. I had to audition twice, but I think I got in the second time. And now, yeah, I joined just as they were going into the Pleasance, which is a really big venue in Edinburgh. So I was so lucky I got to join and go in with them there. And I've been doing it ever since. So yeah, it's been lovely.
So you mentioned there that you had to audition twice. Is that just standard protocol, or did something go wrong?
No, it's been terribly wrong, actually. No, not wrong. I mean, I auditioned. I'd only been doing improv for less than a year when I first auditioned. And I was very lucky. I did get through to the callback. So when they auditioned like maybe like 20 of us in a room. And it was a real full-on day. But there were still loads of things about improv that I just didn't know yet, and I hadn't had the experience. And so they were really kind. I got a recall, and then they said, actually, we went with 2 other people, but they sent me some really good feedback saying, we think you need more experience in this. We'd like to see you do more of this. So all I did because I knew I really wanted it, was make sure I got that experience. And then the next time I went to the audition, I just really made sure that I showed them the things that I hadn't showed them the last time. So I just sort of kept at it, and then I did get in that year.
So you mentioned earlier that you worked on work in basically. You mentioned that you are teachers. My question is, have you always been interested in communicating with people and basically teaching and things like that?
Yeah, definitely. I'm absolutely a people person, and I come alive when I'm in rooms full of people. So I've always been interested in communicating with people, and also working with young people, as you know, because I worked with you as a young person when we went away on PHAB camps.
Yes. So with that something that you just something that you picked up from an early age, like communicating with people, or did you have to learn that as you got older?
I think you learn better ways to communicate with people as you get older, and more subtle ways to communicate with people. I've always wanted to talk to people. I was always the kid in class who got told off for talking too much, and the kid at my house who got told off for talking too much. And I always wanted to talk to people. But, as I got older, I got better at communicating with different types of people, that sort of thing. But I do like talking to people and knowing people. And I find it really interesting.
So what age would you say did you pick up what age did you find interest in like performing?
God, well, I remember doing my end of year school play thing in year 6, the end of primary school, and enjoying that and doing little plays at primary school, and like putting on little skits of my sister for my grandparents and things. So I think I've always been a performer on some level. I joined an Amdram theatre company when I was about 14 in Cleethorpes, where I grew up. And I got some parts there, and I got in sort of the main stage shows. And then I chose to do drama and English at university, which admittedly there wasn't loads of performance. It was much more the study of drama, but it was there was some. It was good. So always. The only time I didn't perform actually for once I got my job as an English teacher, I was so passionate about that, and I loved that so much. And there was the study of drama, but there was no real time or room in my life to sort of think about acting or performing. So I actually didn't do any from when I became a teacher for that 6 years. And it was only when my deputy head at my school, who I did like a school play, because the kids had written it, and they were like, can you come be this silly fairy in this panto that we've written? So I was like, of course, I'll do that sort of thing. And I can't remember much about it, but I remember I had to run like slow-mo in it, like I can't remember much else. But I remember everyone thinking it was quite funny and all this, and I suppose it was particularly funny for the students because they'd never really seen me be that silly. Like I was silly in class a little bit, but I wouldn't have ever like put on a show or anything like that. So I think kids sometimes when they see their teachers can only imagine them in a certain way. So it was fun for them. But anyway, my deputy head said to me, "Oh, you can act." And I said, "Well, yeah, I have done it." And she said, "Well, I'm putting on a show at the minute, and we need some extra cast members with this theatre company in Bristol. Will you come be in it?" And in all honesty, I was too scared of her to say no. So I said yes. And then I started doing, off the back of that, I started doing quite a lot of Amdram again. But I did take that sort of 7 years. And it was that conversation that led me to all this, because if I hadn't gone back to doing Amdram, I wouldn't have met my husband for a start, who got me to go to the Edinburgh Fringe Festival. And actually that woman, Jax, her name is, who was my deputy head, just directed me in a play that we just did a little tour of the Southwest, and performed at the Wardrobe Theatre, which is a lovely theatre here in Bristol. And it was a really nice full circle moment to sort of be like, oh, you got me back into drama, and now you're directing me in a little play that tours the Southwest. It was really nice.
So as you mentioned earlier, the first time we met with our Birmingham PHAB Camps. So for my audience, for Birmingham PHAB Camp is where they have all different children from all different backgrounds, and they basically got one second. Can you still hear me?
I can still hear you fine, darling, yeah.
Oh, thank you. So as I was saying, so basically they have all different people from all different ages going away for a week, and they do loads of activities. So what made you want to start volunteering to join basically?
Andrew Miles, that's the answer to that, Anthony. As you know, Andrew, who has done loads of camps and led lots of the camps, and has worked tirelessly for PHAB for years, is the brother of my best friend from university, Rosanna. And I was visiting her in Birmingham, and I had just finished uni, and I just had a sort of 6-month post-uni job. And it was finishing on I remember this clearly, weirdly, the date. So it was finishing on the 12th of August. That was when my job was due to finish. And I didn't have any plans then for the summer. And Andrew said, oh, I'm going on this PHAB camp. It was only his third one, I think. And he said, you should come, you'd be really good at it. And in all honesty, he didn't really tell me what I was getting myself in for, because I'm not sure I would have said yes. I mean, I'm so pleased I did, but he really didn't spell it out. I mean, you've been, Anthony, you know how just absolutely mad they are. How
it can be a bit full on sometimes.
Yeah. Yes, it can be on a bit full on sometimes, I think, is a fair review of Birmingham PHAB Camps. So you were one of the best behaved on that, and that says a lot, doesn't it? So so I went and did it, because he was like, oh, it's just a week in the Lake District, I was like, oh, that'd be a nice holiday, wouldn't it? It'd be nice. And then it was like baptism of fire, but nothing before or since has made me feel as good as doing Birmingham PHAB Camps did. I couldn't do it now. I genuinely don't have the energy. I came back for a sort of encore year, a couple of years back in the post-COVID years, when they were desperate for volunteers who kind of already knew what they were doing. And I did the week, and I was like, no, it's for people in their 20s really now. But I mean, Andrew still does it. I mean, it's amazing. But it was phenomenal. I loved it so much, and I do miss it a lot. So it's really nice to be talking to you today, make me think about it again.
Well, and Andrew always had the energy of a 20-plus-year-old.
He absolutely has always had the energy as a 20-plus-year-old. I mean, I also see him napping on a beanbag quite often these days, but
So what age group did you come back at? Did you have it on Swan Song before?
It was Venture Camp again, the same one. I've only ever done Venture Camp. I sort of always said, oh, I'll do another one at some point, but I just found I just love that age group. I love doing guys when you were like 14, 15, 16, and everyone said cheeky, and I loved it. Yeah, that's my age group. That's the age group I enjoyed teaching the most when I was a teacher as well. That sort of, it's a real privilege to meet people on the cusp of their adulthood. I mean, you were always very mature. It's quite easy to tell who you were going to be as a person, even meeting you as a teenager. You're exactly the same to me now. Like, obviously it's amazing you're doing all this, but I had no doubt you'd do something amazing.
I appreciate that.
It is lovely.
So going back to murder, she didn't write. I think I've said that right. So opening night. What were your emotions? Were you nervous? Were you excited? Or was it like a combination of the two?
Is that like my first ever time, or just generally? I mean, I do it so much now. I mean, this year I've probably I mean, I performed it like at least 25 times in Edinburgh. Last week I did it 4 times. Over the course of the year, I've probably done it like 100 times. Like I've done it hundreds of times. But the very first time I did it at a really small theatre. Usually we perform Murder She Didn't Write to like 300 people at a go now. But the very first show I did was like 70 at most. And this tiny theatre called Cleveland Theatre Shop, which is actually an old shop that they've turned into a theatre. I've performed there a few times now. It's lovely. But I remember you have to the audience is asked to decide like where the event is that the murder takes place and the object that was important. So they might say it was the case of the pickled cauliflower at the Zoom interview, whatever. It's just an event. And so you don't know what you're going to be doing or who you're going to be or anything until the moment you walk on. So I was utterly terrified. Yeah, utterly terrified. In fact, I remember it was a seance. I do remember that. That was the offer. It was a seance. Can't remember the object. But I decided to walk on as this like person who was conducting the seance, this sort of mystic woman. And I remember my first line that I said, because obviously we're making it all up as we go along.
Yeah.
I just said, well, I'm very nervous about tonight. And that was obviously in character. My character was nervous, but it was quite clearly me, the improviser, that was terrified. And yeah, I still get nervous. I still absolutely get nervous. But I've worked so much with this gang of people and done this show so many times that it's like putting on a comfortable jacket now. It's like, I know this. It's like a game I'm good at that I play with my friends and I know they're all good at. And we're all on the same team. And we get to play that game and then people pay to watch. That's what it feels like. It doesn't feel like hard work now. It feels like a really lovely thing that I like to do, that occupies my mind completely for an hour. That can be sometimes hard work. Sometimes you're like, oh, what's next? What's going to be next? And sometimes it's just all feels so easy and it's just so lovely. But either way, at the end, everyone's going to have had a nice hour. The audience always really appreciate the show. Even if we felt that we've had to work harder than usual, they still have a nice time. And so it's incredible because it feels like, because the audience are involved in what happens, it feels like you make something together in this hour in this room, which is a real joyful thing. So yeah, it's lovely.
But from what I've seen, it seems to be a hit with the critics.
Yeah, well, thank you. Yes. It is a bit of a hit with the critics. Yeah, we got something like ridiculous thing, like most critically acclaimed show at the Edinburgh Fringe, one of the most, and we're up there with some incredible people that I've always admired, other improvised companies like Ostentatious and Showstopper, who we've always looked up to find ourselves in the same list and on the same level felt really, really amazing. And yeah, we got some great reviews this year. Really, really lovely reviews. Edinburgh was a treat for that because we didn't really have any reviewers last year because we were only there 2 weeks and we didn't really have time to sort of invite anybody. And then, of course, 2 years before that, we didn't go to the Fringe because of COVID. Yeah. So this was like the first time in 5 years where we felt we were back. And it just felt so nice to have people really appreciate our show, not just critics, but audience members too. Yeah, it was great.
So how did it make you feel when you saw that somebody actually really enjoyed what you did? That might sound like a daft question, but
no, it makes me feel incredible. That's why I do it. Like, I don't know, you sometimes see people after you've done the show and you're outside and they can see looking over, just singing the show, and they're almost don't want to come over and say how great you are. We always love that. Of course, that's all I want. We live for the applause, it feels incredible when people come over and say we come see your show quite a lot. We always really enjoy it. It's my favorite thing to hear without a doubt, because it's a silly thing. It's a silly thing that, when I was a teacher and when I do FAB camps and things like that, the worth of them, why they're important, is so clear that you always feel like what you're doing is worthwhile, even though it's hard and challenging. But this is, like I said, this is a silly game that I play with my friends that people pay to watch. So to have people say, that silly game you play really made me happy for an hour, or I really enjoy it, or this is something we come to as a family every year, is amazing and so validating. And I just feel so lucky that yeah, I've had so many of those conversations now, and they all stick in my brain, like, you know, the lovely things people have said, or just the sort of smiles people give you as they're coming out and things. It's incredible. It's what I dreamt of, you know, it's what I really wanted when I got into this. So yeah, it's amazing.
The reason why I say that is because sometimes people can feel awkward when they get praised. I know I do sometimes.
Yeah, I know. And I just was telling you how nice, good you were, and clever you were. Like, yes, well, I appreciate that. Thank you. You're so handsome, Anthony.
Thank you very much. It's because yeah, I feel like I don't deserve it. I'm afraid that some people give me a t-shirt.
Well, yeah, but that's you know, your thing. You deserve a lot higher praise for doing this than I deserve for doing my silly game I play with my friends. This is it's all relative, isn't it? And definitely, I think I was almost a bit apologetic about it, you know, when I first went to the Edinburgh Fringe, because I know how hard some people work to make their shows that go up. They don't get nearly the audiences that we get and that sort of thing. And I know we're in an incredibly privileged position to have the marketing budget that we do, and to have had the years that we've been going to establish a reputation, that I wasn't like, oh, it's nothing, it's just a silly show. No. But now, and I think COVID and having a bit of time away from it and coming back to it and really seeing the worth actually in entertaining people for an hour, giving them a really nice hour, I do feel really proud of it. So I've learned to, rather than dismiss a compliment, I've definitely learned to accept that and say thank you and take that on, because I do think that's important. I think we could all be better at that, of taking compliments, you know, like, but I make sure I give a lot of them as well, you know, like I always go up to a theatre company after a show and if I enjoyed it, and tell them I enjoyed it and tell them why and something that I appreciated. Yeah. And I do that to people as well, because I do think the giving of praise is a free thing that we can do to people that makes them feel worthwhile. So it's easy.
Obviously I did say thank you, but you can tell by eyes by the look on my face how I've written it, that it's like thank you, like it's, I don't know how to explain it, but internally I don't feel like I deserve it, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think we can all do that. Like, I definitely feel the same sometimes when people are complimenting me. I'm just kind of like, yeah, all right, well, thank you, but I don't really. But I think that is about our own sense of self-worth and things, and that's something we all need to work on. Like, you know, like, you do deserve it, darling. You definitely do.
I appreciate that. So if somebody came to you and said, Rachel, I will offer you this part in this play, it's basically full time, but it's not full time, if you know what I mean. Would you go for it, or are you just happy in what you're doing?
Oh God, but absolutely depends on the play. But yeah, almost certainly, yeah. I'm definitely would look at performing even more than I do at the minute. But I don't know, like, do I want to perform the same play every day all the time? That's what I love about the play I do, is it's different every time. You know, and I've had friends and stuff do like really long runs of shows, like weeks, months, years, you know, of the same show. And, you know, of course, it's amazing if you're like, it's a really big show in the West End or something like that. But of course, you're going to get tired of that. And I'm in a real privileged position at the minute where it really doesn't feel like work. It really doesn't. And I imagine if you did the same all the time, it would eventually feel like work. So I'd have to really weigh up the pros and cons there. But, you know, I'm not going to say no if someone offers me some like great part in some like long running play. Probably not.
So how do you find time to delegate between putting in the effort into Murder She Didn't Write, and in your personal life, and obviously your your school work, your teaching work?
Well, I'm not teaching anymore, so I've
sorry.
stopped. No, it's fine. Like only really recently have I stopped teaching, mainly because I had some like health issues, which just meant I just couldn't balance it all. I just had a what we call hypothyroidism and fibromyalgia, all sort of brought on from COVID. It was a very long, but basically it just meant that I realized I have to let go of something. And this is the thing that's bringing me the most stress at the minute. And as much as I love it, I'm just going to need to take some time away from it for a bit. So I've stopped teaching, although I am still tutoring children one-to-one. So I still get a lot of like the stuff that I really enjoyed about teaching. Yeah. So at the minute, I'm still performing a lot. And it is hard to balance that with my personal life, like my relationship, you know, like last week I was at the theatre every day of the week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And I had to be at the theatre by pretty much the time that my husband got home. So, you know, it just ships in the night, just didn't see each other. But we went and had a lovely day on Saturday in London where we went together and saw an incredible concert and that sort of thing. So we just sort of make sure week by week that we're like looking for time that we can spend together, you know, and obviously it's really hard. Like when in Edinburgh, I have to live in Edinburgh for the whole month of August, and I do miss my husband and my home and my dog and my friends and my life here. But I appreciate it all the more when I get back. Like I'm so pleased to see my husband and so pleased to see my house. You know, that actually I sort of walk around for 2 weeks of sort of stroking my walls and things. So I think it gives me a real deep sense of appreciation of the things I have that I sometimes have to go away and come back to them, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I know it's not the same, but nowadays with things like FaceTime and obviously what we're doing here, even though you're quite technically you're not a part, if you know what I mean. Obviously you're part, you're not with the person, but you can still verbally communicate, and you can still spend time together, even if it is virtually.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what we did when I was in Edinburgh. I would sort of FaceTime my husband, you know, every couple of days, and we'd sometimes even meet a meal together. And actually that's fine for us because we kind of started our relationship like that, because I don't know if I've told you this story, but when Rick and I first met, I already had a one-way ticket to South America booked, to Argentina. So we had a lovely summer together, and he even visited me at a FAB camp. I don't know if you were there that year, maybe.
I can't remember, to be
honest.
No.
But anyway, but I went off to Argentina, and we actually spoke most days over FaceTime. And I would have my lunch and he would have his dinner because of the time difference at the same time. And we would just chat. And we did that for months. And then eventually he came out for Christmas and New Year. So actually, my husband and I are very used to this way of chatting. It's not quite the same, but like you say, it means you can at least be together.
So when you start being together, like in person, was it a bit awkward at first? Because I know even if I've been speaking to somebody virtually, when I meet them in person, it can be like that is weird, but you know what I mean. Like it can be a bit awkward in places.
Yeah, it can be. Luckily, we'd had a really good summer together where we'd seen each other a lot in person, so it wasn't awkward when we saw each other in person. Although, you know, you're always still a bit shy, aren't you, and that sort of thing. But that's good. But yeah, I'm not shy of him now.
So you know when you decided, do you know when you made the decision, I need to step away from teaching? I know you said you do tutoring, but was there any hesitation on your part? I know you said you had to because of your health, but still, was there any hesitation?
Yeah. Oh gosh, loads of hesitation. It was a really difficult decision for me, really difficult. In the end, I felt I made it out of necessity rather than choice, because I really did feel quite ill, and I couldn't really imagine. I needed to figure out how I could like live with these this new thing and exist in it. So I've given myself a year. I can't imagine I'll stay away forever. Although I also don't think I could ever go back the way I was doing it before. It's a very full-on job teaching, emotionally and physically. And I just don't feel I've got to offer it what I had to offer in my 20s and my 30s. And I'm not prepared to, if I'm quite honestly as well, like, because like you're saying about balance, and weighing up, my life at home with, I want to give more time to the things that I love doing, to performing and to, being with friends and family. So I don't think I ever will do it to the same level and degree, but I'll always be a teacher because I think it is a vocation, not just a job. And I definitely miss it, but not enough to want to go back anytime soon.
Yeah. I should have asked you this earlier, and I'm sorry, but what made you choose English, or was it just like I do English because that's what's available, or did you choose to teach?
No, I've always loved reading. Reading for me was a huge part of my childhood and my youth. Like, my grandma bought me a sort of set of all the sort of children's classics when I was younger, because she found me sort of reading her Mills and Boon books, so which are like erotic fiction. She's like, you can't read that. And so because there wasn't loads of books in my house growing up or anything, it wasn't really but I had this real desire to read, and read everything. I loved it, and I really felt like it gave me an insight into the wider world, and made me just ask lots of questions, and excited me in ways that made me want to do different things with my life and see different places and meet different people. So I just felt, and also it's what sort of made me want to achieve things and do more things with my life. So I think I realized how important the study of English was. So when I went to uni, I did drama and English because they were the two things that I loved, but I really wanted to be an English teacher because I knew how important communication was. If we have a bigger vocabulary, we can talk much more clearly about what we want and or what we need. And so I was really passionate about the importance of English for people, not just because it gives them a good GCSE, but just because it makes their lives nicer. So no, I really, really wanted to be an English teacher. I never wanted to be a drama teacher. People would always say, why are you a drama teacher? Because you do so much drama. But for me, drama was the thing that I loved, that I never wanted to impose on anyone else. Like, if someone else loves, lots of people love football, but I don't, and I don't want to hear about it. And I know that's how people feel about drama. Like, they know people love it, but they don't want to love it. And I frankly just don't want to teach it to people who don't care about it, because to me it's so precious. But English, everybody needs that. It doesn't matter whether you want to be a footballer, or you want to be a truck driver, or you want to be a novelist. You need English because for life. So I wanted to teach the thing that I felt mattered the most. I still think drama is an incredibly important subject. It teaches empathy and creativity, and everyone should study it, but with someone who's better at teaching it than me.
Do you think sometimes people take drama for granted?
Yes, absolutely. I think this government takes drama for granted, and I think education has not been making it easy for drama teachers for quite some time, and I've seen that firsthand. Drama absolutely saved me as a young student. I didn't go to a particularly good school. I wasn't a particularly academic student. I was all right, but not particularly academic. But drama was the thing that drama and reading was the things that sort of lift me up and sort of help me, build relationships and navigate the world. And that's what drama can do. It can help you sort of, consider the human condition, which we're seeing a lot of students just not able to do now. And, just lack of empathy and that sort of thing is a terrifying thing for us to be facing as a nation, I think.
Yeah. Unfortunately, there's a lot of things in the world that definitely should be better, but unfortunately
yeah, absolutely,
the way society works, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So as we start wrapping it up, Rachel,
Mm-hmm.
would you like to? Is there any upcoming show that you're doing that people might be able to go and see if they're interested?
Great, yeah. Well, Close Reach Day is on every other Monday, so it's not on today, which is Monday the 9th of October, but it will be on next Monday, and then every other at the Wardrobe Theatre in Old Market in Bristol. And then Murder She Didn't Write, we've got a show in Canterbury, but that's all sold out, so you can't come see that. But we are doing a special version of our show called Murder She Didn't Fright for the Halloween season. Yeah, I thought you'd like that. You love a pun. The 26th, 27th, 28th, I think it is, at the Bristol Improv Theatre, which is in Bristol. But you can also follow Degrees of Error on all the socials to find out when we're touring and that sort of thing. And we'll definitely be in Edinburgh next year, so please check us out there.
Okay, so thank you for coming on, Rachel.
It's been my pleasure, Anthony.
And thank you for watching, everyone. Please like, please share, and please subscribe. And if you're listening to this on audio platforms, give it a rating of 5 stars, and I will speak to you soon. Thank you for the support.